About a year ago today, I shared with you the reason why I was going to participate in Toastmasters and kind of why I got involved with this club. So the story behind it was I just had a lot of trouble public speaking, and kind of my rock bottom, if you will, for public speaking was when I had hyperventilated a little bit during my freshman year of college in an English class. So I knew at that point that I had to get a lot better, and the key for me to help me get through my speeches is preparation practice. So fellow Toastmasters, Mr. Toastmaster, and welcome guests, today I will show you or explain the part of the Better Speakers series on preparation and practice. So preparation and practice lead to excellence, as everybody knows. The things that we're going to talk about today is how to get ready for the location that you're in, as well as mentally prepared. And I'll share with you those. We'll go a bit more into depth on each of these different topics about the location that you're in. So the first thing you want to understand is the lectern and audience location. So even in Toastmasters over the last couple of months, we've had the flood that had us move locations. We've had to move our station from the front of the room to the back of the room. So we've even gotten some practice just in here with dealing with different settings. So you have to know whether you're going to have a lectern or not. Some people will use the lectern as a crutch if they don't know what to do with their hands, such as myself. I used to do that when I was up there. But now with the screen behind us, we have to stand to the side and kind of adjust a little bit there. So knowing what kind of setup you're going to have for your specific speeches or presentation that you have to give to whoever it is, that's beneficial to prepare mentally, and so you're not focused on that as you're going through your speech. Another thing is the way that the audience is set up. So just like when we had to do an audible and change venues for a little while due to the flooding, the chairs were set up in a row, I believe. I don't know, I never showed up to one of those meetings, unfortunately. I was too afraid I wouldn't be able to find it. So. But this is in a U shape, so it's a little bit different, but we've gotten practiced with the different audience configuration as well. Moving on, the second thing you want to be aware of is the acoustics in the room. Make sure everybody's able to hear you, whether you'll have a microphone or not. The last thing you want to do is walk up to the stage, have your speech all ready, and the microphone not work, or somebody not being able to hear you. So you want to make sure that you're prepared for that on the front end as well. That way you're not worried about that when you should be just worried about the speech that you're going to be giving. Next, room conditions. You want to know the temperature. You want to know if somebody comes in late, will it be distracting? Another thing that we've had some practice here with Toastmasters is people sometimes do come in late. And then you'll also want to make sure or understand if there's going to be competitive noise. Another thing that kind of not prepared for, but with all the construction going on here in the building, everybody's had an opportunity to speak with, the banging and stuff like that we've all heard. And everybody, I think, does a great job, and it'll prepare us for if we run into that in the real world. And then lastly, visual aids. As I said, we've had to reconfigure our room. Before we would have the screen up front, and it was to the left of the lectern, so we were able to stand right behind the lectern. And now we've kind of had to make an adjustment, and I've now stood on the right side and the left side. So getting all the different variables worked out. Next, I'll talk about how to mentally get prepared for the speech. So for me, I don't use notes, but a lot of things that people say when using notes is practice ideas, not words. So this is not writing everything verbatim of what you want to say. Use a note card, write maybe one or two words that'll hopefully spark an idea, and you can ramble on, or maybe not ramble, wouldn't be the right word, but you can articulate a little bit of story based upon those few words without having to stare down at a piece of paper, making sure you're ready. The next thing, this was the most important for me, the next two probably, preparing a mental draft of the speech and finishing each rehearsal session. So what I would always run into when I was younger, I would always build it up in my mind how crappy a speech would be and how much I just wanted to get through it, how much I disliked it, and I would only practice kind of the intro through the middle. I don't know, I'd just get kind of bored of my own speech, I guess, and I'd never finish it, or I would just practice those parts at the very most, just because that was the most nervous I most nervous part I was about just even getting started. But then once I finally got into those middle parts during my speech, I remember, even that story where I kind of hyperventilated, I remember thinking halfway through the first page of my 4-page paper, I'm like, oh dude, you're doing a great job right now, congratulations. But then I got to the parts where I hadn't read it a whole bunch of times, and that's when my breath started to get shorter, my voice started to shake a little bit, and the anxiety would build up. So finishing each rehearsal that you have is huge, and being able to visualize yourself actually finishing the speech. And I would also get into this pattern where I would visualize myself messing up. I don't know why I would do that, it's just self-sabotage, I guess. But yeah, so finishing the speech is huge, and that's what really helped me as somebody who really had a tough time with public speaking in the past. For improving your speech, one thing that I'll do, this add improvements gradually, the way that I take that is, a speech is kind of like writing a paper when you're younger, or maybe if you're writing papers now for your line of work. When I first practice my speech, I just kind of spew out whatever comes to mind based upon the visual aids that I have. And then as I go through it, I add improvements, or if I think that a joke maybe could come into this little slot, I make sure to try it, as I practice it more and more. But the key is to practice from beginning to end. So if you're adding in these improvements, do it, making sure that you do it within the framework of the entire speech. Don't just be practicing little bits and pieces to really make sure that you're as prepared as possible. Also, if you've got a business meeting or something like that, maybe do some practice speeches with a superior so they can give you feedback and help you better align yourself and make sure that your speech is as good as it could possibly be. Some extra considerations: provide an introduction, as we do with all of our speeches for Toastmasters. Give some people, an idea of what to expect before you even get up to the podium. Make sure you're prepared physically, and then, have the mental rehearsal, as I've harped on here about as much as I possibly can. And then lastly, good luck happens when preparedness meets opportunity. So just make sure you're prepared, and you guys will all do fine. If you're nervous, I guess mostly talking to myself. Yeah, if anybody has any questions on being prepared or wants me to provide some feedback, let me know. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you.